Here we go then. Bar number 6 on the advent calendar. It's 6 geese a laying, 5 gold rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. Just for Kristen. I never sing for anybody, so she's very honoured. But it's only because she's a madhead like me. So 3 cards. And an oracle, at least one. Oh. 2 major arcanas. And there it is, unfinished business. Somebody acted in haste and repented at leisure. And now they're running out of options, or they've got to narrow down their options the next 7 months. We've got Aries. And we've got Sagittarius. So the past, the present, the future, or the situation, the way to deal with it, and the outcome. This is the father figures, the bosses, the government officials, the princes, the kings, the presidents, those people in power. A beneficial leader, that's the only way to deal with this, who will protect and serve. Knows how to keep his head clear. So, number 4, 31, the Emperor. And then the outcome will be balance, survival, patience, learning life's hard lessons. When you're down to only one option, there's nothing else you can do. This is it. Don't waste it. We've got Tony and Philip mentioned. I have no other names for these cards. So a new leader, maybe a better leader that will bring balance. Head, face, injuries, heals, hips and thighs healed. The name Iris could be important. But above all, it's being put through the blacksmith's forge, battered and battered and battered until you come out stronger than the other side of the rapids. Which card shall we use for? We'll use the light workers. No, we don't. Oh, we go for the Ogham, don't we? I forgot about that. Yeah, it's the Ogham. Sorry. My mind is on other things. So goose eggs could be something important for some. Don't know why. Or the goose that laid the golden egg. He certainly has a golden orb in his hand and a sceptre or an ankh, which is for protection. And the good side of Aries is a protector. He will protect and serve. And there we have it, Ivy. Invasion again. Goat. Lack of determination, lack of change, and lack of patience. We need to find the balance and the patience in our lives to overcome this invasive situation. So, let's have a look then. Ivy. Neighbours again. Got another one of them that's not in the book. Oh, there it is. 115. Got. So the tree is the ivy. It's not really a tree, is it? It's a vine. It's the 11th moon. The place on the hand, the second joint of the index finger. So that is Aquarius. Aquarius or Pisces. I think it might be Pisces. Second joint, 1, 2. It's not the tip. So I would say it's Aquarius or Pisces. Cusper, maybe. The colour is blue. The stone is yellow serpentine. The bird is the mute swan. They're mate for life. The goddess is Bendis, Mori, oh no. The message is tenacity. Keep hanging in there. Raw survival, what did I say? Enabling triumph over circumstances. So learn from it and overcome it. Musical note is high F. The planet Ceres. The garden growth sweeter than grasses. The counterpart of heaven. So finding heaven here on earth. The vine, the wild oat, the flower essence, Scleranthus, all combined. Entwining ivy represents the embracing but confining female principle of life. Through conception and birth, the male life force is given form by the female body. But in giving life substance, so does women bring death into being. In ivy is the 11th moon's tree. It is sacred to Bendis, Morai Anu, Osiris and Dionysus. They are dedicated to resurrection, jointly with vine, because they grow spirally. DNA. An ivy bush, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, is the place of concealment or retirement. Saturn's sacred bird, the golden-crested wren, always elusive, always built her nest in the ivy bush. There is a well-known revelry celebrated in medieval English carols, Christmas carols, between the holly boys and the ivy girls, which symbolises the battle of the sexes. Another custom was to bind the last harvest sheaf in ivy and call it the ivy girl. The symbolism of the boar, so Taurus, Venus, is used because the cycle falls during boar hunting season. The boar is the beast of death, symbolising the fall or the beginning of death of the old year, so New Year's Eve. But the ivy serpentine spiraling signifies resurrection, again a reminder of the birth, death, cycle of life. Sacred to numerous deities, ivy is used to produce ivy ale, an extremely potent drink of the Middle Ages. Ivy leaves were chewed for the toxic effects in the bacchanal revels celebrated at the season in Thrace and Thessaly. The intoxicated Basarids waved branches of silver fir sacred to the birth goddess in spirals of yellow-berried ivy. The dark green shining leaves of ivy, being a 5-pointed star, made them especially sacred to the great goddess, connected with the mysterious group of 5 British goddesses, the Dei Matroniae. Ivy attracts the last bees of the year. So we had bees in the song, B-E-E, enhancing its religious importance, and there have been numerous bee goddess cults. Ivy's magical properties embrace the feminine gender, the planet Saturn. So we've got the opposite of what we've got there, the masculine. But we need balance, so it can't all be feminine. We have both within us, masculine and feminine energies. Bacchus, Dionysus and Osiris, the powers of protection, there he is, healing and ritual uses. It is carried by women for good luck and worn by brides for the same reason. Ivy also guards against negativity and disaster. It can additionally be used in fidelity and love charms. There is a fierce and determined power in Gort. It offers the boar-like tenacity to be applied to the will to do difficult and intricate work. Now, this won't be an easy task, and it's unfinished business. The ivy is a sign of development and transformation of self. It indicates you may soon be involved in a change in your business or educational life. And there's the business and there's the education. Well done, Spirit. And there are perhaps gains to be had in connection with it. However, The path will be fraught with pitfalls, so you're running out of options. There may be those who are envious of your accomplishments, that seek the best guidance in what you do. The main challenge is not to get caught up in the tools of the transformation process. Remember that the tools are not the ends, but only the means to give rise to something emerging from the depths of your psyche. Stay focused on your true goal. So choose something and stick to it. Don't deviate. Finish your business. Ivy reminds us of the movement of the heavens and the way this is reflected on the earth. It has the ability to bind all things together. It can wander freely, linking tree to tree, or form dense thickets and block out the light and restrict passages. Ivy brings shelter or overwhelming darkness and reminds us that where there is life, there is also death. Ivy represents the wandering of the soul in search of enlightenment, of knowledge, and it carries a warning to be sure of the direction your desires so that you don't avoid being ensnared by them. True progress will be made, however, when all the lessons of the preceding trees have been linked together with ivy in such a way that the light can still enter and no limb will break. I am the ruthless boar, so you may have to be ruthless. Of this moon, Amagan sings, I am a ruthless boar. The boar is the last of the 4 sacred animals to be mentioned by the poet. We have seen the boar several times dealing with the hinge of the year, the passage across the boundary between light and dark. The boar is the creature that represents the unending continuity of divine energy and is seen chased from one realm of energy manifest to the other. Its expression changing, becoming either dark creatures of destruction or solar teachers. Just as the stag, who is the boar's counterpart, changes from the antlered apparition, which the father figure is also sometimes depicted as the stag, of other worlds to the earthbound power at the heart of the greenwood, so does the boar. At Samhain, moving into darkness, so October the 31st, the boar is now the harbinger of death, taking the active energy of growth into darkness. The green energy of full light, who rose to triumph half a year earlier, now is killed by the boar as the hunt replays itself. Death is victorious. The forces of growth are stilled, and soon the leaves will fall from the trees, and the lengthening nights will establish the rule of the dark. However, the boar's descent into the underworld is not purely a journey of destruction. In spite of any other roles it may play, it is still a creature of fertility, planting seedlings, even with death itself, the seeds of renewal. It is as though the driving force of growth manifested during the light of the year has been smashed, but its many fragments still retain life within themselves, and they are buried like seeds in winter soil. They will be nurtured by the darkness until the next bright season, so spring. The weakening of the sun and the cooling of the air should alert us to the waning of our own expanding energies and the need to face the ending of this phase of our existence. The last of the energy must be used wisely in a way that ensures the survival of what we have already made, and also in a way that ensures the survival of what we ensures, and also in a way that facilitates the resumption of our activities at a later time. So we've got some unfinished business that we must pick up come spring and finish. Already, from far away, we hear the boom of the sea on the cliffs of Samhain, calling us down again into the depths. So the 31st, October the 31st, that is the 4 and 31. As the moon waxes, we see the wild hunt of death charging towards us, lighting up the land with bright annual autumnal colours in its throes, and we gather up those shreds of beauty to treasure within our souls. On the full moon, the hunt has reached us. We come face to face with the boar, and we hold up the gift we have prepared. The shape we have chosen to best summarise what we have achieved through this year's activities. Success will be yours if you focus. One thing at a time. With the moon waning, we look serenely inwards as another year ends and a new cycle is about to begin. So decide what you want, what seed you want to plant and what you want to grow in the years to come. I am a boar on the high place in the first fresh frost on autumn's face. The hunters call to sound the chase, but I am bold. I will run this race. For many moons we roamed this land, where others fell, I learned to stand. The old and great join in the dance, courage and cunning are my inheritance. On the earth, in the air, through the fire by the water, I am Vala, the Ivy Moon's daughter. So you will survive if you learn the lessons well of your ancestors. Bendis was the great goddess of gynocratic Lemnos and Thrace, where women worked the land and tended the sheep and cattle, so farmers. We had a farmer's wife in the reed today. She was called the fierce huntress of the two spears. She provided the religious underpinning for the Lemnosian women's revolt, so women's rebellion, in which all the men of the island were slain. Her name means to tie. In her image, she is depicted holding a branch of a tree which was thought to grant passage to the underworld. It is told that her women were lions' pelts and fox skins, so Leos and sly individuals. Those who worshipped her did so in her sacred groves. To the Greeks, Bendis was the same Thracian Artemis, Sagittarius, Diana, worshipped by the Amazons as Tauropolos, and she was closely aligned with Cybele and Hecate. As Hecate, she was the moon and night, earth and nature. She had great power over heaven and earth. She is also identified with the Prorodian Artemis and Rhea. Her worship was introduced into Attica by the Thracians and was so favoured that she was celebrated in a ceremony in Athens, so Greece could be important, which included grand processions and races called Bendidia. Morrigan's harvest. When the Morrigan moves through the fields, only she, the white, is seen at the sky. Single dark fogs fly across the heaven and clothe the great queen in a splendid robe. When the Morrigan moves through the fields, she is bare, only her black hair covers her, followed by a flock of crows. She strides through the world. The crows shriek, hurries on ahead of her, heralding of her harvest. When the Morrigan moves through the field, she is destroyer, mistress of the world. One glance in her mirrored eyes leads you across without pain. Every burning sorrow she takes away in her cool black boat. Roybin, Morrigan's shrine. The mute swan is the month of the mute swan guise, whose colour and plumage and black legs, red bill, make it especially sacred to the white goddess. It prepares to follow her companions, the whistling swan, the bird of autumnal equinox, Ida aspen, who is about to fly off with her young. The smoke of weed fires, the haze of the hills, and the skies before the coming rains are all blue. Mute swans have been cherished as symbols of purity and elegance for centuries. Native to Europe and Asia, they were transported to North America in the late 19th century by European immigrants. Some swans eventually escaped or were deliberately released into the wild. Public opinion about mute swans is mixed. They are very large birds with no fear of humans. They are easily observed and provide opportunities for people to come close contact with wildlife. Their vibrant orange bills with black knobs, white plumage, and long, graceful held necks make them conspicuous. Their young, who have a dusky tinge and greyish bill, usually remain with their parents for months. Mute swans reside primarily in estuaries, rivers, habitats, with smaller communities, inland lakes and ponds. The mute swan is not mute. It hisses, it grunts, it barks. Unlike our native swans, it has a black knob on the upper bill. In olden times, a young swan was a table delicacy, and in England all swans have belonged to the crown since 1482. In a special ceremony each year, the swans on the Thames River are rounded up, their wings clipped and their bills marked, and the royal brand. At nesting time, the mute swan cob is especially dangerous. Children and dogs coming near the nest are often badly beaten or dragged into the water and drowned. A blow from his powerful wings have been known to break a man's leg. In America, some have escaped and now breed in hundreds in the wild. And it is safe to say that they are now being killed for food by people living on the streets, which they will come under great trouble for. The boar. I am the ruthless boar, I am a fierce boar. I fled as a bristly boar seen in a ravine for valour. I am a thicket which holds the roebuck, and I have tasted joy. I have strength born of ecstasy. The fierceness and untamed power of the wild boar naturally led to its associations with war and death among the Celts. Warriors went to battle, urged by the terrifying squeals of the Carnix, the boar-headed trumpet, and some warriors who dressed in boar skin or wore menacing boar crests upon their helmets. So look for the pigs. The boar was one of their favourite animals to hunt for its strength and valiant defence. When cornered, appealed to Celts' notions of warriorhood. We do like our bacon. Celtic mythology is rich in tales of heroic boar hunts. In legend, Fionn hunted for Mael, a huge boar that was enough to cause a deadly fright, for he was dark blue-black, with coarse bristly hair, nebulous, nasty, devoid of ears and tail and testicles. For this was a mark of infertility and death. The boar, for male, its teeth protruded, lengthy and ghastly for its oversized head, and it lifted the mane on its back ever tall and sharp, that a large apple could have been skewered through each of its long bristly hairs. The early Celts also prized boar meat above all other foods, and the centerpiece of the legendary feast of Tara was freshly slaughtered, so the name Tara could be important. Ban Sama, the young pig of Samain. Pig bone and even whole joints of pork have been found in the graves of chieftains, no doubt in anticipation of a banquet in the afterlife. Guests at the otherworld feast halls could eat all the pork they wanted from the cauldron of this Celtic warrior paradise, for pigs that were killed and eaten one day would spring up alive the next. According to the research, October was the boar hunting season, as it was also the revelry season of the ivy-wreathed Basiads. The boar is the beast of death and fall, and the year begins in the month of the boar. As mentioned earlier, the boar's descent into the underworld is not solely a path of destruction, because in spite of any other roles it may have, the boar remains a creature of fecundity. It plants within death the seed of rebirth. Don't forget, the goddess Ceridon is even referred to as the White Sow. Currently, we know the boar to be an animal of great courage. He has a harsh, bristled hide with long curved tusks. He is an animal of great cunning and bravery, and they have been reintroduced. He fears nothing and will attack all impeding his way, beast or man. We associate courage and bravery with the boar. In mythology, the boar is always associated with a hunt. The hunt, however, is never ordinary. Our hero, so that he might prove himself, must test his own resources to tame the wild beast. What better animal than the boar, which is your growth, which only comes through pain? And it is also the Empress in the card. So we have mother and father and knowledge. What the gods and goddesses can also be taken from us. We see the boar as a solar animal because of his strength, and he can be seen coming from the darkness. As the boar of winter, he belongs to the dark half of the year. So, as with Leo, is the sun card in the tarot, but it covers anything that happens in the dark. The absence of the sun, his symbols become the symbol of death. Keep in mind, to the Celts, there is no evil in this concept because death is a doorway to a different life. In order to move into that other life, we must, of course, sacrifice the present one. Our many tales of the boar demonstrate time and again the brave battle of hero and boar, and out of this clash comes the great destruction, fierce battles to the death, but victory in that death. Serpentine is a striking green stone of light and dark hues, white or black speckled. It is relatively soft, associated with Scorpio, and can increase wisdom and self-restraint. It is said to protect against the venom and has many of the same properties of green jade. So this is the year of the serpent, the snake. Serpentine helps us understand the gentleness, even if one might not expect it to be, is a source of great strength. The name serpentine comes from both the serpent-like patterns adorning this stone and also from the belief that serpentine stone was endowed with protective, again the father energy, and curative abilities in preventing fatalities from snake bites. The ancient Assyrians carried serpentine stone seals so that their deities would send double blessings. The ancient Egyptians called serpentine meh, and it was often used in amulets. Snakebite protection folklore comes up in several cultures because of its mottled appearance that resembles snakeskin. The Italian strega was known to use small pebbles of serpentine to draw out toxins. So something is toxic here, and you're running out of options. The American Zuni people also use serpentine for fetish carvings. Magically, serpentine continues to be used as protection against poisonous creatures or poisonous situations. Additionally, in meditation, serpentine is especially good for applying to the heart chakra. So we have mentioned the heart many times, and is thought to bring peace and calm amidst turbulent times. It is also used to open the Kundalini energy at the root chakra, and trust me, that is an experience in itself. For healing, serpentine is worn as an amulet and has been used by nursing women to regulate their milk supply. It is reputed to benefit asthma, hepatitis, and is considered a balancing stone, which is what we need, balance and patience, and overall healer. When the hounds of spring are on winter's traces, the mother of months in meadow or plain fills the shadows and windy places with lisps of leaves and ripples of rain, and the brown bright nightingale amorous is half assuaged for Italus, for the Thracian ships and the foreign faces, and the tongueless vigil and all the pain. Come with bows bent and with emptying of quivers, maiden most perfect, lady of light, with the noise of winds and many rivers, with a clamour of waters, and with might. So women, warriors, bind on thy sandals, O thou most fleet, over the splendour and speed of thy feet. For the faint east quickens, the wan west shivers, round the feet of the day and the feet of the night. Where shall we find her? How shall we sing to her? Fold our hands across her knees and cling. Oh, that man's heart were as fire and could spring to her. Fire, the fire signs, Aries and Sagittarius. Fire, or the strength of the streams that spring, for the stars and the winds are unto her, as raiment, as songs of a harp player. For the risen stars and the fall and cling to her, and the southwest wind and the west wind sing. For winter's rains and ruins are over, and all the seasons of snow and sins. The days dividing lover and lover, the light that loses, the night that wins. And time remembers is grief forgotten, and frosts are slain and flowers begotten. And in green underwood and cover, blossom by blossom, the spring begins. The full streams feed on flower and rushes, ripe grasses trammel a travelling foot. The faint fresh flame of the young year flushes, for leaf to flower and flower to fruit, and fruit to leaf are as gold and fire, and the oat is heard above the lyre, and the hoofed heel of the satyr crushes the chestnut husk at the chestnut root. And Pan by noon and Bacchus by night, fleeter of foot than the fleet-foot kid, follows with dancing and fills with delight the Maenad and the Bassarid. And soft as lips that laugh and hide, the laughing leaves of the trees divide, and screen from seeing and leave in sight the god pursuing, the maiden hid. The ivy falls with a bacchanal hair over her eyebrows, hiding her eyes. The wild vine slipping down leaves bare, her bright breast shortening into sighs. The wild vine slips with the weight of its leaves, but the buried ivy catches and cleaves to the limbs that glitter, the feet that scare, and the wolf that follows, the fawn that flies. So Capricorn. Georgina Christina. O roses for the flash of youth, and laurel for the perfect prime, but pick an ivy branch for me, grown old before my time. So, ivy is also a vine. It's a member of the ginseng family. This is the moon honoured annually by the Ivy Girls, taking our name from the Bassarids. This is a small telling. They were classified as wild, ecstatic women. They were shapeshifters, wearing fox skins and lion pelts. They are intoxicated on their own ecstasy, so they love themselves more than anyone else. So the Leo and the fox, the lion and the fox, or those born in the year of the tiger, they were sacred prostitutes in a time when sexuality was considered a gift from the goddess, so sacred to life that the art of lovemaking was taught by these sacred women in the temples of the goddess. According to the author Vicky Noble, the Maenads of the 6th century BC, so the number 6, well done spirit, were famous for their orgastic rituals, not only throughout Greece and Turkey, but also in Thrace, Bulgaria, Italy, the Eutracians, and the land of the Scythians. A Thracian vessel depicts a double axe, below which is a series of goddesses and objects that could either be daggers or sheaves of wheat. In a description that matches female images on vessels in ancient Sumer, we're told of Thracian orgiastic rites which took place in the mountains by night. The women, clad in animal skins and having snakes and daggers in their hands, danced excitedly, whirling dances. In Thrace, Iron Age Bulgaria, the goddesses, a version of Artemis, Diana, was known as Bendis. A mural in Crete shows a woman whirling as far back as the Bronze Age, predating Sufi dancing for more than 2 millennia. A Greek vase showing pairs of women dancing with lotus flowers, so rising from the muck of the swamp in the hands, could be a Western counterpart of the Indian yoginis engaged in nocturnal assemblies. This is our sacred moon, the ivy moon. It was the season of the Bacchanal, the revels of Thrace and Thessaly, in which the Bassarids, intoxicated on their own ecstasy, dancing their ecstatic dance, rushed wildly about on the mountain, waving the fair branches of Bendis, spirally wreathed with ivy, with roebuck tattooed on their right arms above their elbow. So somebody may have a tattoo above their elbow on the right arms of a roebuck. So there we go. That's a bit deep, that one, and it will mean many things to many different people. But we have 3 fire signs mentioned: Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo, and they are running out of options. There is no full cups here. You have to focus and finish business. Don't leave anything undone. Learn your lessons well. Don't repeat them. Narrow your options down, and then you will be successful and protected. Thanks for listening. Speak soon. Bye-bye.